WhiskyJason here, whiskey from the viewpoint of an American in Germany tasting rare and exotic whiskeys. Today I have a German whiskey from the St. Kilian distillery, one of the up-and-coming newcomers here in the German whiskey market, and this is actually their signature edition number 6. So I think I've done videos for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Number 5 was my favorite so far because it was virgin oak, and I just love, like bourbon does with its virgin oak. And this is more of a Franconian type of bottling. Why? Because the malted barley comes from Weyermann, which is a Franconian malter, because the Pinot Noir casks come from a vineyard very close by to the distillery, which is in Franconia. It's Weingut Fürst, so it's a vineyard first. And also because they use, those are 3 things. They have the barley, they themselves, and also the Pinot Noir casks are from Franconia. This is a 0.5 liter bottle. This is actually a replica of their pot stills that they have. Soon, 2021, hopefully, they'll have the 0.7 liter bottle, but at the beginning they used the smaller bottles. So this was distilled, as we can see here, in 2016 and 17. And it was actually bottled 2020. A lot of transparency here. We have 47.5%, and the best thing about it is on the back of the bottle we actually see the percentage of the different casks used. We have the ex-Bourbon, which were 10%, if I remember correctly. Ex-Bourbon were 25%, got that wrong. The Pinot Noir casks were 30%, and the ex-Rye cask, very unusual, were actually up to 45%. So I have a deconstruction set. I bought this bottle myself, but these little bottles here were sent to me. And so this is something I received without paying for it. And so I actually have a deconstruction set. I have here the ex-Bourbon, a 2cl sample, which I've tried already. I have here the Pinot Noir, which you can see is much darker. Also in color here, it's very, very easy to see. And what I have here, and this is something I've tried so many times, this is my 3rd time already that the bottle's empty. This is the ex-Rye casks. What ex-Rye casks they use, I do not know. It might be something from Brown-Forman. It might be something from Heaven Hill or Buffalo Trace. I do not know. So I do know that the bourbon came from Old Forester, yay. And I do know that the ex-wine casks here come from Franconia, from the vineyard Fürst. 6,530 bottles of the 0.5 liter. And this is actually something which I bought 2 bottles of this and shared it with my super fans, my fans. One bottle costs €39.90. Now, St. Kilian has the plan to expand internationally, but not yet. So you might find this bottle or a similar bottle to this one day at La Maison de Whisky in Paris, but it's not going to reach the shores yet of London or America or Australia or other places around the globe. This is a very, very local player at the moment. They have 4 sites, pot stills, 2 of them. And they do produce almost or up to about 200,000 liters a year using a 2 shift system. So they actually have a good amount of whiskey that they're producing. 2019, due to COVID, it was actually less than 2018, but that's one of the things that they have to work with. So let's try this on the nose first of all. It's unique. And I know now why it's unique. I'm going to go to the deconstruction set first. The ex-Bourbon, what do we expect? Vanilla. So we get a nice maltiness and a lot of vanilla. The Pinot Noir casks, what I'm getting here is a little bit of sulfur. I'm getting a little bit of a mixture of a strawberry, raspberry type of moment. I do not like Pinot Noir as a whiskey. I don't like Merlot, as a wine. I love Cabernet Sauvignon. I love a little bit heavier whiskeys, wines. I do get that sulfur in there. That's turning me off a little bit. And now to the rye. I really spent some time with this little glass, and I really thought hard and long about what am I smelling. Because in America, we only use the cask once, basically. If it's going to be virgin oak, it's going to be a virgin oak container, barrel. We put our bourbon in it, or we put also our straight rye into it. After we use that barrel, it has to go someplace else. Now, in the 1990s, up until about 2000, I think that the average production of rye was around 3% of the total produced whiskey in America. And then actually, for example, I think it was like Heaven Hill did 1 week a year, not even a full 7 day, three shifts thing. That was it. That was enough. That was enough rye for the whole year. And now we're up to over 10%, almost 12% of all whiskey made in America is rye, which is fantastic. I love rye. I love my Jack Daniel's single barrel rye. I like my, oh, I have so many bottles over here. I like Sagamore. I like Jim Beam rye. I like Bullet rye. I was looking for something. I like the Rittenhouse rye. I like rye. And now what do you do with all those casks? You can send them off to Scotland, but they're like, hey, we want bourbon. We want sherry. What's rye? Ugh. And I really spent some time with this, and I figured out what I get. I get menthol. It is wood. It is a little bit of vanilla, but I get like a menthol note. It's not eucalyptus. It's menthol. And that's what I'm getting. If you've ever had some Vic Vapor and you've had a little bit of that menthol here, maybe even some cough drops in that direction. Over here we have some blue Vic cough drops that are polar, and they're just so yeah, it's menthol, and that's what I'm getting here. All right, so sorry, I'm smelling the wrong one. Yep, that's what I'm getting here, and that's what I'm getting here as well. And so I'm getting a little bit of a youth towards the end. It's 3 to 4 years old max. All right, nothing in this is older than 4, and the majority of this is probably 3. And I'm betting that the majority of this is the rye. When I try them, the bourbon is smooth and nice. The Spätburgunder gives me a bouquet of fruit, but the rye gives me a little bit of a more metallic type of young note. And if this is 45% of that, that's what we're going to get. All right, cheers. Mm. Mm. Here, do this. The aftertaste, young, a little metallic, not my cup of tea. So let's try the individual and come back to this. The bourbon, I like the best. Mm. Mm. Crisp, clear, very well done. I would drink the bourbon cask any day of the week. Good stuff. I would have preferred instead of 25%, I would have put maybe 50% ex-bourbon in here. All right, going over to Spätburgunder. We call it Spätburgunder in German. It's Pinot Noir, black grapes. Mm. Mm. A fruitiness, a wine moment. A little bit younger. I think the bourbon's the oldest. This is probably going to be in the middle here. And a tiny little bit of sulfur, as I said, at the end. And then the last one was a rye, which is a weird one. Weird, not unique. Hmm. Yeah, that menthol note. A little bit of the youth, a little bit of that metallic moment. The most of the metallic moment comes from this. Good. Now, what happens is when you do this, and this is really the art form. The art form is not distilling. I know the guys that do this. I know the master distiller. His name is Mario Rudolph. I've been with him many, many hours. As a great guy. He was a beer brewer before that. He was a carpenter. He was a cabinet maker. Now he's a master distiller. The guy understands what he's doing. And basically, when you run a distillery, especially if you're running a distillery to make a lot of product, you set it up and you just run with it. You run with that one setting the entire time. So what they do is half the year they do mild, which is non-peated. Half the year they do peated whiskey. Usually the mild is in the winter and the peated is in the summer. You would think the opposite, but the temperature difference is very, very important there. Um, and you just maybe you experiment a couple weeks a year, but otherwise you set out as much whiskey as you can. Where the art form comes is where you marriage these casks together. So you have first fill bourbon. You have different sizes first fill bourbon. You have different distilleries and they have different profiles. You have different wine. You have your ports. You have your sherries. You have your Pinot Noirs. You have your Amaronas. You have all these different type of wine casks. They have over 300 different types of casks in their warehouses at the moment. And then you have here something which is very unique and is coming more and more is the rye. How do you integrate the rye? What do you do with the rye? How can you let it shine? And what happens is here is the rye actually catapults the Pinot Noir up, and it actually elevates it to a higher level than it is itself combined here together. And that's actually a very, very nice thing. So kudos on the blending of this whiskey. You do not have a lot of old stock, and with old stock I mean 5 years old. So you basically only have 3 and 4 year old stuff at the moment. And what's coming out of the distillery is good. It's not yet great. The 5 was almost great with the virgin oak, but this is good. And what I didn't do in my English video, my German video, what I'd like to do in my English video is to dilute this down to about 40%. This is 47.5 and see what happens. Sulfur and the fruitiness kicks in a little bit more. The vanilla is there, but not as in the forefront. Mm-mm. I think I remember talking with them, or they were talking, and they said we did it at 47 and we did it at 48, and something was missing. They did 47.5. I was like, that's it. That's what we need. And that half of a percentage points can really, really make or break a whiskey. And in this case, it actually helped this whiskey a lot. That 40% that I try to do right now just doesn't cut it for me. All right, good, good, good. This is going to get a C as a tasting note and a C minus for value for money. All the young distilleries at the moment are putting out whiskeys at an extremely overpriced point, and this is actually 80 euros per liter, which I think is a lot for a 3-year-old whiskey. It's par for the course, but still I'm going to give it a C minus for the value for money. I'm not a big fan of it, but that's okay. I'm sure other people like it. And we'll see what's going to happen because this is young stuff and we're going to see what's going to be out there. There's going to be Signature Edition 127, and then they're going to repeat some of their old editions, and then they'll come out with a core range. And I'm really looking forward to seeing what they're going to have in the core range. All right, so if you want to look them up, it's Kilian, K-I-L-I-N, distillers.com. And you can find all that information in English and in German on the website. All right, like, subscribe, tell others about this crazy guy over in Europe tasting things you'll never see. Sorry, no comparison whiskey today. Due to construction set, I thought it was more important to taste and describe and to show you what was actually in here, which is a great thing that we can deconstruct the whiskey. All the best. See you soon. WhiskyJason here. Bye-bye.